Hey guys, it's me, Dr. Garza. My voice may sound a little funny. I've been sick all week with bronchitis and I have medicine, but I'm still hacking, coughing, uh, all the fun stuff that happens when the meds start taking effect. Anyway, hopefully I can get through this without coughing too much, but I did want to just do this short video, and well, it probably won't be short, but do a video on and just take a look at some of the rough drafts that you guys wrote for the recommendation reports. There's a lot of great stuff there. I just wanted to say first, you guys have done a super job, and I know several of you commented that it wasn't as hard as you thought it would be because you had done a lot of the, you'd gathered all the content and had a lot of that already, which is really what a good tech writer, web designer, web creator, writing for the web person, whatever you may end up being. That's a good process to follow. Get all your content, gather it together, and then you want to think about taking it and putting in that format that will give the reader what they need and accomplish the purposes of whatever project you're trying to work on. So I saw that you guys were really doing a good job of connecting with readers. So I'm just going to look at a few here. I've made some notes over here for myself, and then I'm going to just pull a few up and just talk through a few things. And I'm certainly not going to get to everybody, but those of you who aren't on here, I just picked these at random because everything was good. So, but even if yours isn't here, go ahead and take a look at the video because I think you'll see things that will help you because, by and large, a lot of people are, have a lot of the same things that you could work on. And, I know these are rough drafts, so I didn't expect them to be perfect. I gave everybody full credit. But now that doesn't mean that if you turn in this version for the next round that you'll get full credit because, I gave you credit for the rough draft because it is rough, but the next version certainly you should have done some more work with it and made it even stronger. Now, the first thing I want to do is one of the things I know I told you guys was to think about delivery of this report, and you guys have done a really good job of that because we're going to put this report online, so we know that we have to think about how that works, how we deliver things in the online, in the digital environment. Now, you don't have to do this. I just want to make one quick comment that if you were going to need to deliver the more traditional hard copy version, then I'd set it up a little bit differently. And some of you may be familiar with a formal report kind of setup. But if not, you can always Google that. You could do it like a formal letter, or you could see here on the one that Ash is doing. She's got for and by. You could do the more traditional, where you put the date. And just imagine this is at the top of the page. And then would be 2, and she's got Jimmy Cox. And I'd capitalize. It's always best to capitalize when you're using someone's title. From. So let me move this over. I'm a big stickler for visual rhetoric, so when you can make your information on the page visually line up, it's always better. Ray, recommendations. Or something that had effect. And then you would start with your report. So if you were going to do a, if you needed to deliver it in more of a hard copy format, even if you're delivering it, say, through email, if the more traditional kind of report seems to work better, then make sure that you don't forget those kinds of reports. And the kind of general rule of thumb is if it's going to someone you don't know, you would do it more as a formal letter. You could do even an intro letter and then have this report following it. That's another way to do it. Or you could do a memo. Memos are usually used more for inter-office, like if you worked in an organization. But if you know somebody really well, a memo might work too. So, but there's lots of choices. You just have to think about for your specific purpose and audience what works best. Okay, I'm just gonna go through and look at a couple of the um, the rough drafts that you guys did on Ashley's. What I would do, and some of you did a really good job on the title here. Go ahead and say it's a recommendation report. She mentioned recommendation report here, but if you just said recommendation report, I think I'd put that on one line so it would look like this. Recommendation report, Jimmy Cox, blah, 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 and then the URL, blah, 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 and of course center that. But I think that's how I would change the beginning of that. And then it's, she's got the for and by. So now let's talk a little bit about layout. Whenever you notice she's got a space and then an indent, I call this double dipping because all these things we do are visual cues for the reader to know where there's sections and how they need to move through the report. If she's got a space here, she doesn't need to indent. So what I would do is I would move these back because the white space, the space in between shows that, the reader is moving on to another section. So as far as layout, that's the main thing I do here. The bolding of these headings is very, very good. See, that gives the reader a clear idea that content, text, you can move through here quickly and see links, SEO, what's important. Okay, I'll just look a little bit of the wording here. I'd say during the spring semester of 2016 at Texas A&M University, Corpus Christi. Let me talk to you about Texas A&M University, Corpus Christi. This is a thing that I see people make mistakes on all the time. Little bitty mistakes like this can cost you a lot. They really tell a lot about what kind of worker you are. Because the correct way to do the name of the school is little dash, and I can never remember. I think the little dash is an end dash, but I can never remember. This is how you do the name of the school. It doesn't have the spaces. A lot of people will put the spaces around the dash. A lot of people will use the bigger dash, but that's incorrect. So anytime you're using the name of a place or a person or anything, make sure you get it absolutely correct. Go to the source and find out what it is. And if you can't find it somewhere, listed online or in some documentation, then call the office and ask. Excuse me. But little bitty things like that could make a difference, because some people pay attention to that and they think that's important. It's like, and that's why I said, like with photographer, I would capitalize and I would make sure, that's probably all he calls himself, but sometimes people have very specific titles. If you give the title of someone, make sure you give the exact title. If you don't give the exact title, that's like calling them by the wrong name. Okay, so during the spring of 2016, I took an online class called Writing for the Web. Here I would say this recommendation report is a result of the work I did in the class, which should provide you with information for making improvements and for making improvements to the website. I think it maybe say something like that. This report, instead of saying will be broken off, that's just a little bit more conversational, and these are, what you're doing is a more formal report. Even if you know the people well, it's still on a more formal basis. This report is divided into, or this report discusses the website in terms of content, text, and SEO, based on the concepts discussed in my class from the text, Letting Go of the Words by Janice Reddish. Now, another thing I would do with the text, and I'm not sure if any of you did it, but this is, a lot of these things I'm telling you are kind of technical writing, how-tos, kind of the rules of technical writing. When you give the name of the book, you should you should put the year. And I don't remember the year. I think it's 2009 or something like that. But just put it in parentheses like that. Now I know you guys have it in the reference too. But one of the reasons you're going to want to put it up here is because you're telling the reader that that's current information. That, you know, the information you're using is current. Okay, let me go on. This is Ashley's report. She did a super job. Very good job. Lots of good stuff here. Okay, Michaela focusing on the Island Wave newspaper. Now I like how she has a great tone all the way throughout. She did a really good job. Island Wave's newspaper website recommendation report. And then she gives the URL for who it's for. Now, advisor of the paper, I would double check. She's probably just called advisor. I would say advisor and capitalize it. And then make sure you leave a little bit more space and make sure these line up. Okay, now, the thing that Michaela did that Ash didn't is she's not using spaces between her paragraphs, so in this case she can indent. But you just don't want to do both. So again, I'd say during the spring of 2016 at Texas A&M, so she's missing the dash. I took a course titled Writing for the Web, which I composed a recommendation report for a website with the intention of offering improvements. And then I'd say period. And then say, I'm thankful that you let me analyze the Island Waves website for this project. This report, again, is divided into sections according to the concepts I would say we discussed in class from one of our textbooks called Writing for the Web, or from our textbooks, and then just do comma, from our textbooks, comma, Writing for the Web by J.D. Applin, I think it's Applen, and Letting Go of the Words by Janice Reddish, and again give the year. Now, a little bit on layout. This right here, we read from left to right, so the visuals that you use should always. There's a rule in tech writing that before you put any kind of visual in, whether it's an image, a chart, a graph, a picture, whatever, anything that's not text, you have to let the reader know what that is. You have to talk about it before you get to it. What a lot of you guys are doing, you're just putting the images in there. So that's something that a lot of you need to work on. Now this I would call double dipping as well, because see, you've got it's highlighted, it's separated by white space, and then she used a bullet. You don't need the bullet. I guess actually that's triple dipping. And then here you don't need the bullet. But I think what I would do is, see, she's used the italics, which is really good, but then I think I would leave a space. This down here works better for me. See how she talks about it, and then she puts in the image. So on this one, I wouldn't do this side by side. I'd follow this way of doing it. And then I'm going to show you. There's a couple of really good examples of how to do the images in some of the later reports I'm going to talk about. One thing here, she says, I think y'all are doing really well. Michaela works for the newspaper, and so she knows these people. But like I said before, we're going to consider this a formal report. So just be careful, instead of I think y'all are doing really well, you can talk about I think the staff of the paper has done a good job at trying to keep up with the new generation, blah, blah, blah. So just, I would recommend that instead. Okay, let's see. Hopefully my voice will keep working. Okay, this one is Clarissa. Recommendation report, teacher, TAMUCC Breakers Game Room. coordinators. You've got two, so that should be coordinators. I think I'd put that on a separate line. Just move this part down. And otherwise, that's good. Okay, so see, she needs to fix the dash. Now, this first sentence, I might write it a little bit different. This is what they call using passive instead of active. So I think it works better because, see, you say I chose in the second sentence. Go ahead and start with yourself up here. In a course, I am taking at Texas A&M University called Writing for the Web. I am required to analyze a website project and develop a recommendation report. I chose to analyze blah, 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 incorporating concepts from letting go of the words by give the first and the last name, Janice Reddish. I've compiled my ideas for development into this recommendation report that I hope will benefit. It's not only this site. Now, this is kind of weird, and some of you did a little bit of this. Don't talk about the site, the website, like it's a thing or it can do anything. You have to talk about the site as a thing, not as something that's actually changing or kind of doing things on its own. So you could say will not only benefit or will not, I hope will help the staff to develop the site and then in turn the business as a whole may develop as well or something like that. Positive aspects. Now, some of you didn't do much about the positive aspects. You don't have to, but that's always a good thing to do. If you want to put some of that, put some of that early. It's like when you get a paperback in class, we as teachers, we try to say, what are the great things before we tell you what you need to work on. It's just a psychological thing. Now, below I have made some recommendations on improving the Breakers website. I've organized my recommendations by the 4 pages of the site, and she gives those. And this is another thing I see you guys doing in this report. I can tell you're setting these things up for when you make the online version. So I know that's working. Okay, so she's got a bolded heading, homepage. Now then this to fix thing. To fix is kind of a funky sounding phrase anyway. But under each one, you've got to fix, to fix, to fix, to fix. So you really don't need that. I would say just take out the to fix. And then you can actually move this over to the left. But the bulleting here is very nice. And again, here's an image. And if we read before the image, the frequent gamer card photo is unnecessary. Another way to say this, you might say, because remember, you're making recommendations, so you just want to come straight to the point and tell them what to do. Remove the frequent gamer card. And then let's say remove it's outdated actually. Or let's say, to get it even more to the point, replace the outdated frequent gamer card with the current membership card. Sign up links. So that would be a way to get more straight to the point here. Another creative use of photos could be using emotional appeal with actual pictures of customers having a good time, or even including a gallery of everything the room has to offer. Those are super ideas. And I really like how you're showing which Reddish chapter you got those from. You didn't on this one. You probably just overlooked that one. So when I look at this picture, this is the frequent gamer card, so that's the one that needs to be removed. but you haven't told me as a reader the frequent gamer card, see a picture of it below. And when I think about this audience, you know, the two guys you're writing this to, they probably know what the frequent gamer card is, and they probably know what it looks like. So in this case, I'm not even sure you need this image. Now what you could do, since you've got all these good ideas here, you could give them kind of a mock-up of what these kinds of things might look like. You don't have to, but that would be an option that would give the reader a visual they might need. I'm not sure this one really is going to help them. So, you know, it's good to have the images in there, but as you're doing those, think too about, you know, you're putting those in there to help the reader. Okay, this one is Anna, and I'll tell you a little quick story about Anna. She's one of the students working on the Writing Studies website, which is the group that I teach with. And I've been sending her evaluations every week to the group that's working on her site, and they've just raved about the great job she's doing. So Anna's been getting some great feedback on her stuff already. Let's see, Anna, she's got a good heading up here, I think. The faculty and advisors offering a new writing studies focus with the Texas A&M Corpus Christi English Department are currently developing a website to inform prospective students about its degree plan, differences in type of writing, and worthiness of a degree in writing. The program will not be available until fall 2017, so it, as well as the website, is currently under construction. See, that's very good information for readers to know. I'm writing this recommendation report on their behalf, and I hope it will help streamline the necessary information for the degree in the most concise, entertaining, and informative way possible. Now, I'm not sure if you mean you want the report to be concise, entertaining, and informative, or if you mean that for the website. I think you mean for the website, but I was a little confused there. I've divided my analysis, and she's got when you're doing formal reports, just stay away from contractions. Just, you know, don't use them. And most people probably would be okay with it, but, you know, I always teach my students to err on the side of the most cautious, because, you know, you get somebody out there that's, you know, really old school, and they might look at that and make assumptions about, you know, you and whether you're a good, you know, how you look at your work. So then she gives us the sections. That's good. And then she tells us why she's doing that. Okay, now I would call this, this is a little confusing to me. Content is good because it's bolded. And I've got a bullet and home page, but this lines up, so it's a little confusing to me. So what you might do instead is you've got content that's in bold. Then you could do home page and maybe make it not bold by italics. And then you could just one of the first points, blah, 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 blah. You could do it something like that. I really like, she's doing an excellent job. So she's talking about the books, and she actually brings it in. You know, one of the first points Jenny Reddish makes is to anticipate your reader's question. The more you can do this, you don't have to do this with everything, but this is for all of you. The more you can do this, that you can bring in and tell the reader specifically what you're pulling from on the book. Don't quote, but summarize. Summarize as much as you can. And then you can explain, you know, that's what you're working from. So she shows how, you know, we're trying to do this. These questions follow Reddish's advice to exploit the power of parallelism. And so then she shows us, now this is good. She's got figure 1 home page. So we know, I know as a reader what this is. So you should always tell the reader You should always label your headings in some way, or some way make it obvious what the image is. Now up here she could say, as shown in figure 1. She could put that right here. As shown in figure 1, the writing emphasis homepage definitely blah, 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 blah. Or she could say the writing emphasis homepage definitely adheres to this advice. Sometimes people will put in parentheses see figure 1. You could do that as well. But that's what I was talking about earlier. There's a rule, a formal rule in technical writing. Before you put in any kind of extra information, images, pictures, charts, whatever, you have to tell the reader what it is. And the label helps you to do that. So if you have an image, do a label. It's real easy. You just put it right here under the picture. The only other thing I'll point out about, she's got her reference here. That's good. She's got looking forward, then that's great. I really like, she's helping me with my website, so she gives me some extra information. I would still, and all of you need to do this, somewhere at the end say, I enjoy doing this for you, or something like that. If you need to contact me, you can reach me at blah, 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 something like that. Something like you'd do if you were writing, say, a letter to apply for a job. But just some way to close it out, to talk to the reader again and say thank you. Because I always equate this to, if you don't put some kind of an ending on your report or whatever you're writing, it's kind of like if you're talking to somebody on the phone and you just hang up and you don't say goodbye. But here again, that's to me, it's kind of that formal strategy way of thinking about when you're doing this kind of writing and formal reports. Okay, so I've got a couple more down here. Let's see, recommendation for a House of Rock. Let's see. Okay, Mary Cruz has done a fabulous job. I really like, now if you look at her layout here, look at the visual rhetoric. Now what do you see on this that maybe we haven't seen on some of the others? She's doing a super job with the white space, the bolding, her use of, you can see here she's just got one space and then it's left aligned. So it's very easy for the reader to look very quickly at this and know exactly what's going on. Okay, so now I wouldn't put introduction, not in a short report like this, because the reader's going to know that that you are, that's what's going to come first. What's happening here, though, is she's got this here. She's looking forward to, she's working toward having it be ready to be the digital document. So that's why introduction's here. If you were going to turn this just as a written report, I wouldn't put introduction. If that made sense, if that didn't make sense, Mary Cruz, just yell at me and I'll try to do a better explanation. Okay, as a student enrolled in writing for the web course taught by Dr. Susan Garza, I was given the task to develop a recommendation report for a website of my choosing. Because I frequently visit the House of Rock and enjoy their business, I decided to analyze the website. The critique is based, instead of was, I'd say is based, not off, is based on material from one of our course textbooks entitled Letting Go of the Words. All of these should be capitalized. I know in APA, you don't, in your reference list, you don't capitalize the words, but generally if you're, referring to a title within text like this, you go ahead and capitalize everything. And she did put the year in, so way to go, Mary Cruz, I forgot. But this is how you'd want to do it. Our purpose in analyzing writing this report, I would say my purpose, because Mary Cruz is the one doing this, so she can say my purpose is to improve along with satisfying customer needs. Content, excuse me. Now I do come here, and this is a similar kind of thing where, YouTube, I think the T is capitalized. So I come here, and I'm going to guess that this is the about page for the House of Rock. But hers would benefit from if she put, a title below for this image like Maricruz did. And then up here somewhere you have to refer to it. Because, okay, you're talking about a photo gallery, a YouTube channel, and then you go to the about. So as a reader, I'm not sure why I'm seeing this image. And then if I read after, there is one hyperlink found on the about page. So I'm guessing this downtown link must be what she's talking about. But the rule in technical writing is this information would need to come before the image. So you talk about it. Now you don't have to tell everything about it, but you do have to introduce it in some way. You have to say to the reader, I want you to look at this image now for this reason. I'm showing it to you because or whatever. And then show it, and then you could even talk about it a little bit more. But see, here as a reader, you're talking about photo gallery and YouTube, and then all of a sudden I have this image and I don't know what to do with it. So just remember, on those images, you have to introduce it, then you give the image, and then you can keep talking about it after that if you need to, but you don't give the image and then talk about it. That's a common misconception that a lot of people have, but it's just confusing to the reader. But I think overall this is, she's got super info. Very, very good job. Okay, this one is Nicholas, maybe? I'm not sure. Needs the name up here, okay? Because this one just says recommendation report. Now this one, what's going on here? What I see here, many new organizations, schools are relying on technology, blah, blah, blah. Today, now, the wherever you're... This kind of reads to me more like a report you do for an English class. But remember, this is not your typical kind of report. This is a report you're doing for a specific person. You're reporting specific information to that person. So you want to take out this kind of intro stuff that you may have been taught to do in other classes. See, the website I chose to analyze was my classmate and friend Mike Kroger's life coaching. See, there you start talking directly to the reader. We know what the report's about. So you've got a little bit of that up here, so make sure to just get more to the point with that. Now here, I don't know, it kind of looks like this is bolded and maybe italicized and underlined. Remember, you don't need all three. Bolding is fine. Excuse me. Okay, Mike provides an explanation of what he offers as a life coach. I'm assuming this is where he's doing that. Refer to screenshot below. I'm not real sure which screenshot, but if you label all of these, then you could say refer to image 1 or image 2 or screenshot 1 or screenshot 2, whatever you decide to call them. Now, Mike explains, so I'm guessing this is where Mike is explaining this, so you could say, as seen in screenshot 1, Mike explains and details what his services are and how he helps by, under the heading Life Coaching, there's a paragraph that talks about blah, 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 or something like that. So lots of good information in here, just needs some, a little bit of work on helping the reader to know exactly what's going on with each part. So good job on that. Okay, this is Callie. I'll tell you a secret about Callie. I know she's taken more than one tech writing class, so some of this she's already learned, and she's just a superstar in every sense of the word, so I don't want the rest of you guys to feel bad. But she's got a title here, a recommendation report, very good. We know it's by her, and we know she's affiliated with Texas A&M Corpus Christi. But look at the visual here as well. I mean, you look at this whole page, you know exactly what's going on. Here are your main headings. Here are the smaller subheadings. This is, see the good use of white space here? The 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see what I said. I was going to show you here. She's telling the reader exactly what's going on with within each section. You will find the stated problem that I observed and my proposed solution that will help your site be a more effective interface for clients, potential clients. She's based her information on Jenny Reddish's book, blah, blah, blah. Excuse me. I'm almost finished, and I'm going to have to finish because my voice is about to go. Okay, so getting their pathway pages. And let's see, she is... Okay, here's an example of a pathway page. Now, this is another way of doing this. She did not put a... she did not label this as a certain thing. She gave this is the information as to where it came from. You always want to have that. That's good. But it could be even stronger. She could still put a title here and say, example of a pathway page. It's not going to hurt anything. But she has at least told the reader it's coming. Notice how navigable the lake. So see, she tells us the image is coming. She gives us the image, and then she keeps talking about it some more, which you can do. That's certainly a good option. I think I would, like right here, maybe leave a little bit more space in between. But that's probably just rough draft stuff. But you see, as you can go through the problem, the solution, the problem, the solution. Now, that's... So as a reader... And if you think about the reader using this report, if I'm going to sit down at my website that she's telling me about and do something with the information she's given me, okay, I can start with pathway pages. What's the problem? What's she recommending that I do? And I can just do it, kind of like a checklist. Here's what you need to do. Here's how to do it. So I can do each one separately. So she's really done a very good job of laying that out for the reader. Okay, I think that's all the ones I had to comment on. Let's see. I think I covered all that. So anyway, you guys are doing a super fabulous job. You really are. You're probably one of the stronger classes I've had in a long time, so I really appreciate all of your work. So I probably won't do any more videos for a while, so keep emailing me and I will type, since I am certainly much stronger at typing right now than I am with trying to do anything with my voice. But anyway, I hope you've been able to hear me and understand, and again, I apologize for coughing and hacking and sharing some of that with you. So good job, and keep up the good work, and we're almost to the end. I know you guys that are graduating are super exciting, so hang in there and finish your work, and I'll talk to you later.